Hello and welcome to training on SAP Business Objects Web Intelligence. In this session, we'll go through the SAP Business Objects Web Intelligence system. We'll do an introduction to the system, what it means, how it fits, and then introduce the application itself. So we're going to work through a booklet, the Web Intelligence 4.3 Training Guide. And this guide is currently in version 2021.01, and it's approximately 60 pages long. So in the table of contents for the document, you'll see that we start off with an introduction to web intelligence. What is Webby? What is the Launchpad? And then we get into the concepts of opening a Webby report and working with the Webby report, and then looking at design mode, figuring out how we can edit a Webby report. And then we'll go through a standard creation process for a Webby report so you can see what that looks like and how we would do it. And then we'll continue to move through the report design basics. We'll talk about aggregating measures. How do we take, say, it's like a summation of a number, and then dragging and dropping, cell maintenance, charting, and so forth. And then we'll finish up with formatting. We'll talk about some analysis calculations and then finish up with a few Webby reporting features. So let's go ahead and get started. So on page 3 of the book, we introduce web intelligence, and I try to give a pretty concise description of what web intelligence is. So web intelligence, and you can read this in the book, allows business users to access and analyze corporate data from heterogeneous data sources, online or offline. They can also share data and insights with colleagues, customers, partners over intranets and extranets. So what that means is web intelligence is an online reporting system, completely web-based. There is a client that you can install on your desktop. But and for this course, we're going to go through the web-based interface. You can connect to data sources, whether they are data sources in the cloud, on premises like a SQL Server database or an Oracle type database, or offline. So if you're connecting to, say, a CSV file, an Access database, or just any sort of flat file, Web Intelligence can connect to those as well. And then once you create your report and you find the answers to the data that you need, or to answers to the questions that you have, you can share that data and those insights with your colleagues, with your clients, with your customers, through the portal or through exporting the files as CSV files or Excel files and so forth. So the different data sources are listed there, and these are very generic data sources. Relational databases, OLAP servers, personal data providers such as like Excel and CSV, that's the offline sources I just mentioned. The SAP Business Explorer or BEX queries that you may have. Web services, so if you have web services that were generated or served data, you can connect to those and use those as sources. Advanced analysis workspaces, and also HANA data sources. And to access Webby, you log in through the Launchpad in a browser. And there, as of this recording, the browsers that are available are Chrome, the Chromium version of Edge, which is generally available. You can use Internet Explorer. You can also use Firefox. But the most popular by far tend to be Chrome and Edge. So you go into those through Launchpad. Which is a BI portal. So Launchpad allows you to access reports, objects, create reports, and so forth. So it's just like a one-stop portal where you can use as a launching pad, if you will, to get to your reports and your analytics. Within Launchpad, you can create and edit the Webby documents and analyze the data. And then you can also use the Launchpad to share the documents. So that's just a quick intro of what Webby is. So there's here's some terminology here at the bottom. So you're going to hear these things throughout the course. BI Launchpad, we just talked about what that is. So web portal for accessing business objects, data, and analytical tools. Fiori, you're going to hear less of, but you may hear it in the context of a Fiori-fied interface. So Fiori is just a modern user experience that it gives a consistent interface across multiple systems from SAP. So you'll see what we mean by that in just a moment. Once we log into the Launchpad, it tends to be a tile-based, touch-friendly interface that you can use. And BusinessObjects at 4.3 has completely switched over to this Fiori type of interface. And then you have Web Intelligence. We're going to talk about that a lot, also known as Webby. Very endearing term. Webby has been around for about 15 years or so, 20 years. Very well loved tool. So Webby is an analytic tool for querying, reporting, analyzing, and sharing enterprise data. And then there's also the concept of a universe. A universe is a type of data source that we can connect to. Universes have been around for a long time. You may also hear semantic layer. So the universe or a semantic layer, what it is a business layer that stands in between the web intelligence application and the underlying data source. So you see the description there. The universe or the semantic layer relates the objects for a business area such as finance, sales, human resources, or purchasing departments to your organization's data stored in its databases. Whenever you build a Webby report based on a universe or a semantic layer, you create a query, and then Web Intelligence knows where the data source is. It knows what type of data source it is, whether it's SQL or HANA or Oracle or Access or flat file. And it knows how to create a SQL statement that can extract data from that data source. So whenever we talk about connecting the data, we can go through a universe or a semantic layer to access those data sources. So then we have the Launchpad, and so we're going to go through, show you what the interface looks like through a series of screenshots. And you can always refer back to this document for that information. So the Launchpad is your web-based application that allows you to create, consume, and schedule reporting content. So the Launchpad is just a web interface that allows you to access applications like Webby. So if you scroll down here, and we're on page 4, if you scroll down and look at the main screen, you'll see, and I've got these labeled, so 1 through 6 here. BI is a tile-based interface, so you can see all the different tiles. We talk about the Fiori-fied interface, and this is what the standard looks like. So the standard fonts, the standard formats, the standard color scheme that can be changed, but this is what the standard color scheme looks like. So whenever you work with things like the SAP support portal or S4HANA, you're going to see this Fiori type of interface. So like I said, it brings a consistency across applications with SAP. And so as reports are open for viewing, the report opens to replace the home screen. And so you'll see that once we start launching into Webby, or into the Launchpad and get into Webby. The open reports are accessible in the Launchpad, text at the top. In your preferences, so you can in your preferences you can adjust the look of the default home. So the tile one, the number 1 here shows you the BI Launchpad title. There's a little arrow that points down. You can click that arrow, and you can access any reports that you have opened. So you can always jump back to a report without having to close it and open up one report at a time. So then the preferences are available up here in your person icon at the top right corner, and those are typically called settings. There are settings you can use to adjust the look of your home, so you can change your theme. The second line there is your default home page. So as you're looking at this interface, you have home, favorites, recent documents, recently run applications, and each of those links refers to a line here on your interface. So if you click on home, it's going to take you to this first line. If you click on favorites, it's going to take you to this line. Recent documents, recent run, and applications at the bottom. So the home allows you to access to folders, categories, documents, BI inbox, instances, and then your recycle bin. So if you have any experience with BusinessObjects today, this used to be over on the left side of the 4.2 and before Launchpad, but now these are all accessible through your home bar. And then your favorites here, any report or any analytic that you've marked as a favorite in the Launchpad will show up here. So any reports that you have accessed, that you access often, can be listed as a favorite. Recent documents, or any documents that you recently accessed or run will show up there. Any documents that you've recently scheduled will show up here in recently run. and then all the applications that are available to you based on your security profile will be accessible here in the bottom line. And so you can always just go click applications and it'll scroll you down to the bottom line. Then you click, say, Web Intelligence to launch into that application. And so there's descriptions of all of that here at the bottom, lines number 1 through 6. And then we take you through to show you how you can navigate folders and reports. So remember, folders is accessible in the home area of Launchpad. So once you click on that tile, so if we scroll back up to the top in your document, you go to home and you have folders here. Folders will take you into the screen that you see here on page 5, where you have your personal folders, subscribed alerts, and then public folders that you would have access to. And then whenever you click on any of those, the main content screen over on the right side will refresh with the contents of the folder that you clicked on. So in this case, you can see I clicked on Web Intelligence Samples, and I can see there's a folder called Resources, and then there's also a series of Web Intelligence reports that are listed there in the middle. So number 1, you would click on Folders in your Folders and Reports. Number 2, initially you see public folders, subscribed alerts, and personal folders, subscribed alerts, and public folders. Clicking on each opens a respective listing. And then you select the report that you want to view. All you have to do is click on it. If the report has been scheduled in BusinessObjects, you can schedule reports. And if you've scheduled that report to show up as a PDF, then whenever you click on the report, it would automatically show you the latest instance. You could also do a right click and view to be able to see the report itself. Number 4 has to do with this little toolbar here at the top. You can always hit refresh to see the latest listing of reports if people are adding in objects to a folder that you have access to that you're looking at. You can always hit that refresh button to see the latest listing. Then you can also add, see more options, and then change the listing here between a tile-based interface and just a standard listing. And then report maintenance has been moved under the organize. So if you click here, number 5, you'll see that organize in there. So you could do cut, copy, paste. You can also do a right click on objects in the listing, and there's an organize option there that will allow you access to cut, copy, and paste. So then there's also the settings option that we mentioned a moment ago. Settings, an option found in the upper right corner of the BI Launchpad, allows your user to adjust how they work within Launchpad. Settings allows a user to adjust how they navigate and what they see when they first log onto the system, etc. Settings also allow users to customize how they work with some applications like Web Intelligence. So in your little person icon, if you click that, you're going to see the settings, and that would allow you to change application settings, what your home screen looks like, and so forth. So you can go in and make those changes. Okay.